Science is all well and good, but it gets in the way of stories.
I'm in the middle of something.
I don't want to know that the sun is made up of mainly hydrogen and helium. I want to believe it's dragged across the sky by a little guy in a chariot. Thankfully, video games are more than willing to indulge our fondness for legends, leaning into ancient tales from all over the world to build their fiction. Here are 8 of the best, and the myths that they pull from.
Creators of the universe! Outstretch your mighty hands and raise me to the heavens!
The roguelike Hades is rooted in Greek mythology. For starters, it's named after the god of the underworld, and you play his son.
Stupid boy. I told you nobody gets out of here, whether alive or dead.
Like any wayward teenager, you're raging against the boundaries set by your parents. Except in your case, that means fighting your way through the land of the dead to reach the mortal realm. Since you're a god of rebirth, death in combat is no issue. Every time you're killed, you return to the House of Hades to be consoled by a bunch of other deities.
I'm home.
They congratulate you on getting a little further each time, and gradually start to tell you their secrets. It's their support which makes your victories all the sweeter.
Good to see you, lad. Despite the circumstances. Remember your training out there. The pain of death is but another obstacle.
Stray Gods is another game that brings an interpersonal twist to the Greek pantheon. You're accused of murder by the gods, and must prove your innocence. But the gods are in trouble themselves, exiled in America and struggling to find meaning in their endless existence.
Ancient Greece was 3,000 years ago, Grace. Not much information survived all that time, if it was even valid to begin with.
It's a unique story directed by David Gader, who invented the world of Dragon Age. As such, it's filled with deliciously role-playing dilemmas, and opportunities to get romantically entangled with companions. It just so happens those companions are Pan, Apollo and Persephone. They're exactly as flawed and fascinating as the legends suggest, and now you can get to know them.
How about you come with me sometime? Let me show you the world I see.
A tempting offer.
Sounds kind of corny, huh?
It really doesn't. I would love that. Can we go now?
Like Stray Gods, Deus Ex brings mythology kicking and screaming into the future, where it becomes conspiracy.
Welcome aboard, Agent.
In this dystopian world, ancient legends like the Illuminati and the Knights Templar live alongside modern myths about men in black and aliens in Area 51. Deus Ex even has its own cryptids, called Greasels. They're little green reptiles based on the Chupacabra, a local legend that sprung up in the Americas about 30 years ago. Chupacabra literally means goat sucker in Spanish, because the creature was said to drink the blood of the livestock. You can avenge the goats by zapping the monsters with your stun prod. And what better way to be equipped for zapping than with our G502X Plus gaming mouse that comes with Light Force hybrid switches, LightSync RGB and more.
350 million fortresses is not my idea of the land of the free.
It's better than one big fortress constructed by a corrupt government against its people.
Fallout is a series you might not immediately associate with mythology. But as with Deus Ex, there are American folk monsters living in the open world of the Appalachia. The hulking sheep squatch can give the Deathclaw a run for its money, while the Wendigos perch high up in the trees waiting to catch you unawares. Then there's the Mothman. He's got a whole cult worshipping him, but he's harder to spot out in the wild than you might expect. Fallout 76 taps into a long history of strange sightings in West Virginia, and doesn't give you any easy answers about where these creatures come from.
Gather now, faithful followers of the most wise and beneficent Mothman. Let us light his holy beacon with the radiance of the firefly.
We could hardly exclude Age of Mythology from this list. It's in the name after all. Where the Age of Empires games draw from real historical events, this spin-off is a grab bag of Greek, Egyptian and Norse legends. Playing as an admiral of Atlantis, you'll construct the original Trojan horse, fight alongside Odysseus and travel through the underworld. It's like you're the Forrest Gump of the classical world, somehow showing up just in time to take part in all the most famous stories. Then there's the multiplayer. To our knowledge, Age of Mythology is the only competitive game in which you can turn your opponents into pigs, which counts for a lot.
Any who threaten my home or my family will soon have a place in my dreams.
These are enemies unlike the others, Arcanthos. Do not let your guard down. Dark times are coming, and you are needed.
The pig story comes from the Odyssey, which also lends its name to an Assassin's Creed game. Besides hosting a brilliant open-world experience and a decent RPG, Ubisoft's ancient Greece is also home to a handful of monsters from myth. Since these creatures take a backseat to the main conflict between Athens and Sparta, they're allowed room to breathe and take on a sense of mystery. Only by exploring their quests and backstory will you face down the Sphinx, Cyclops, Minotaur, and the deadly Gorgon. You might expect Medusa to have the body of a snake, but ancient Greek authors depicted her with a human form and the fangs of a boar. So that's how you'll find her here.
Yeah? It's me, Grace.
The other key inspiration for Assassin's Creed Odyssey is The Witcher. CD Projekt Red provided the blueprint for story-driven open worlds when it launched its third game in 2015. But the Polish developer didn't take its cues from the ancient Greeks. Instead, it looked to local Slavic legends, infusing the Witcher world with creepy horror stories from Central Europe. Our favourite is the Noon Wraith, known in Slavic mythology as Lady Midday.
Hey, I think it worked.
According to the tales, she would appear in the fields on hot summer days and force unlucky mortals to dance until dawn. Basically, she's a personification of sunstroke. But that doesn't stop Geralt killing her with a sword.
Let's dance.
We've talked a lot about ancient Greek mythology today, but when Ubisoft set out to make a new Prince of Persia, they wanted to highlight the global influence of Persian lore. One of the early boss battles in The Lost Crown is against the Manticore, the infamous beast with the body of a lion and the tail of a scorpion.
You are mortal. Death is your destiny.
And the whole platforming adventure takes place against the backdrop of Mount Kaf, which is a fixture of Iranian bedtime stories. It's a treat to experience mythology that rarely makes it to the West.
Oh, what do you even mean?
The Simorgh may have disappeared, but the mighty god used to live on Mount Kaf, and perhaps still does.
Speaking of journeys to the West, there's always the Chinese legend of black myth Wukong. But you knew about that one already, didn't you? If you're looking for any more game recommendations, don't hesitate to subscribe and ring the bell. That way, you'll be the first to hear when there's a new video from Logitech G.
Oh hey, if it isn't Apollo and Grace, and, Persephone. Wow, the whole gang, huh?